Good morning, sunshine. Good morning, Facebook. It's awkward saying good morning to somebody who's not there. I don't know if you get that. It's like weird. It's always weird and awkward to me, but yeah. Hi. Anybody who shows up and cares to join me this morning. Just getting my coffee. Sorry I'm late again. I've been late a lot this week. Mary Jo! Good morning, sweetheart. Good morning, sunshine. Oh, you got so far. Mary Jo, Meredith. Good morning. Happy Friday, right? Yeah. I realized that when I woke up this morning, too. It's Friday. How did that happen so quick? I'm grateful for having this project I've been working on this week that's really kind of made things go quickly. I think Tank, my dog's like, who are you talking to? He's wagging his tail because he thinks I'm talking to him. Do you want a treat? Let me get you a treat. So, but as I've been working on this project, it's been... Sit. Good boy. Have your paw. Good boy. Have your other paw. Good boy. There you go. Good boy. He's happy. I've had this project to work on, and I'm grateful because it's actually made the week go by really, really fast. Really kind of, and I'm having some good coffee this morning too, because my friends at Canandaigua Coffee Company dropped off a donation to us yesterday. Such awesome people. The Cotters are my friends that live in Canandaigua. I've been friends with for a very long time, and they just started Canandaigua Coffee Company within the last year or two, roasting their own coffee and grinding and everything else, and it's so good. I'm having some this morning, some Sumatra dark blend. Let me see if I can switch the thing around. Yes, there it is right there. So good. Anyway, so yeah, so it's been good. Really been kind of simplifying things this week and sort of just doing my feed. My only social media time I've been trying to restrict to just the morning when I do the feed, and then the comments afterwards, and then trying to just stay off it, especially with all the ridiculousness going on in the world right now. And hi baby. And just the stuff going on. I can't even. I trying to stay in tune with what's going on inside me, and when I start to feel a certain way, I know it's time to get out. So I'm trying to limit my time, which is good because I got 3 new books the other day, and I've just been reading after I'm working, and then I work out with my son. In this week off of not running, and then I read. We take care of dinner and everything else. I'll do a little reading in the afternoon. We'll do dinner, and then after cleaning up from dinner, I'll do a little more reading, and then maybe watch a little something on Amazon or Netflix as I fall asleep. Because a dark room and a comfortable anything, and I'm asleep. My kids always make fun of me because movie theaters, done. I'm just out. Comfortable chair, dark room, I'm asleep. Anyway, I'm getting like really heavy glare out of that window. Anyway, So yeah, in trying to limit that has been really good for me because I'm finding, it's funny because I talked about this one book that I'm reading right now, this Viktor Frankl book, Man's Search for Meaning, and I know now why it came into my attention and why it was continually coming to my attention, because I definitely needed to read this because it, it talks about a lot of the things that I've already, there's some similarities between this and The Lost Connections from Johann Hari I just finished, and things like that talk about, in unusual times, unusual circumstances, when people act unusual, that's normal. Like, that's not unusual to act unusual in unusual circumstances. And I think that we tend to hold people to the same standards, regardless of what's going on in our external world, when that's not really realistic. So just being kind and gentle with ourselves and with other people is something to strive for, right? And that's what was the one quote that I read recently? I can't remember the guy's name. It was really hard to remember, but it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. I thought that was really a great quote, and very interesting and very accurate, right? So if you're in unusual times, like this Viktor Frankl book, he goes through his, he's lived 3 years in Auschwitz and Dachau concentration camps, and just the bizarre effect that has on human behavior and human, like, you lose your humanness. And that's not, like, yeah, that, no kidding. Like, that's normal to be abnormal during abnormal times. Like, the suffering that, that became their everyday life was just unthinkable. Not just the physical conditions, but the mental and emotional torture they were put through was just, I can't even. And he talks about the barbed wire sickness, where, that's what they termed it, when people just couldn't take it anymore and ran into electrified barbed wire just to end it. I can't, like, I get that, right? How much can the human mind take? And I talked about, the guided meditation I do every morning, and she ends it with, and it's pretty much like the mantra in it is all about, I'm in control by surrendering to the uncertainty, and I'm in control of my own reaction to things, right? And that's the one thing that nobody can take away from us. It's a human right. That's what you have if you have nothing else. And he starts out, pretty much the book that way with, even when you're taken to a concentration camp and you've lost every belonging in your whole entire life, everything that made you you, they even go so far as to shave all of your body hair off and assign you a number. You don't even have a name anymore. But what they can't take away is your right to choose how you respond to those circumstances, right? And that's not anything anyone can ever take away from you. And how do you choose to respond to that? How do I choose to respond to that? Is my right, and it's not my right to and nor could I ever take away your right to react to things, how you choose to react to things, right? And honoring that. So I thought it was really, really very cool. And it's been such an amazing book, and I'm already like more than halfway through with it. I just got it the other day, but I wanted to read something from it because it really, just in his words alone, sort of brought home that whole. So the title of the book is Man's Search for Meaning, and we can find that search relevant in any set of circumstances, any suffering or hardships, and I think this qualifies as well. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, man or woman, it just means like mankind, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And there were always choices to make. Every day, every hour offered the opportunity to make a decision which determined whether you would or would not submit to those powers which threatened to rob you of your very self, your inner freedom, which determined whether or not you would become the plaything of circumstance, renouncing freedom and dignity to become molded into the form of the typical inmate. Seen from this point of view, the mental reactions of the inmates of a concentration camp must seem more to us than the mere expression of certain physical and sociological conditions. Even though conditions such as lack of sleep, insufficient food, and various mental stresses may suggest that the inmates were bound to react in certain ways, In the final analysis, it becomes clear that the sort of person the prisoner became was the result of an inner decision and not the result of camp influences alone. Fundamentally, therefore, any man can, even under such circumstances, decide what shall become of him, mentally and spiritually. He may retain his human dignity even in the concentration camp. Dovetsky said once, "There is only one thing I dread, not to be worthy of my sufferings." These words frequently came to mind after I became acquainted with those martyrs whose behavior in camp, whose suffering and death bore witness to the fact that the last inner freedom cannot be lost. It can be said that they were worthy of their sufferings. The way they bore their suffering was a genuine inner achievement. It is the spiritual freedom which cannot be taken away that makes life meaningful and purposeful. And he goes on to talk about, different things that can be taken away in life and create, life has meaning and purpose for these things, creative work or enjoyment, things like that can give life richness and fullness, but also, suffering and death are what make, what does he say here? Without suffering and death, human life cannot be complete. The way in which a man accepts his fate and all the suffering it entails, the way in which he takes up his cross gives him ample opportunity, even under the most difficult circumstances, to add a deeper meaning to his life. And then he goes on to say, do not think these conditions are unworldly and too far removed from real life. So in other words, you don't have to go through, the suffering of Nazi Germany to have suffering in life, right? We all go through it. It's part of life. This is what he's saying. Suffering and death are part of life. It's all interconnected, and how you go through that is also part of that. So anyway, it was pretty cool. And now I know why I had to read this book, why it kept continuing to come into my attention through various people who are close to me who are also reading it. There's some really beautiful things in there. And again, I think, not to even equate anything we're going through today to what happened in, the concentration camps. But so that also helps reframe things for me too, right? Every time I feel like, this is hard and this is, I guess I don't really, but I know that I'm also grateful for how fortunate I am to be able to continue to work through this and stuff. And I know I'm not experiencing the same stresses that other people are, and less than some, more than others. It's all relative, but I can at least be grateful for the fact that that I have those things and that I'm not suffering to that extent. So okay, that was heavy. Anyway, I didn't mean to go off on such a deep tangent so quickly. It is Friday, and we can also be happy. So yeah, pizza and movie night. What movie are you guys watching tonight? I know what one we're watching. I know where we're getting pizza from. Meredith Frisbee is baffled every time I'm on a group Zoom video call. Yeah, right? They're like, who are you talking to? Normally when there's no one else around, you're talking to me. My dog just perked up when into our treat cupboard when you asked your dog if they wanted a treat. Oh, that's so funny. I saw that. Was awesome. Oh, you're talking about the check from Canada. Yeah, the Cotters are just amazing people. When I think about, and it's funny too, because he goes, Viktor Frankl talks about, the purpose of life. A lot of what carried him through some of the darkest hours were thinking about his wife and that love, and whether he didn't know whether or not she was alive or dead. And at some certain point, it didn't even matter anymore, because it didn't take away from that love that he felt. And that was like what he felt like was the purpose of life, was to love in that way, that deeply, that can carry you through any circumstance. And trust me, the things that he recounts that they had to go through were just mind-blowing. But anyway, to find that love, and I'm bringing it back to the comments about my friends, the Cotters, just when I think about them as people and who they are, and I've been friends with them for a long time, they're just amazing people that, you know, and I can think of, you know, several people in my life that I feel that way about. And that's what, to me, also the purpose of life is to find those people that, you know, those connections that make you feel that way, that can transcend any external suffering. Oh, Meredith, I'm glad you're liking that book. Yeah, it's really good. And his closing of the book is also really good too. I think that, you know, it's really thought provoking and really, really interesting. You know, I think these are the first books that I've read from him, Johann Hari. You know, I've constantly referred to his YouTube, his TED Talk. I show that in presentations in classrooms and things like that, where he talks about the opposite of addiction is connection. It's not sobriety. And finally now having the chance to read some of his books is just amazing. I can't say enough good about him. I'm going to buy his other book too. I think it's called The Scream or The Lost Scream or something like that. I don't know. And that's more specifically about addiction. So I think it's going to be really interesting. We're having Abbott's Sunday night. Nice. That's awesome. That's great, Mary Jo. I'm glad. Yeah, that sounds good. I wish we had an Abbott's out here. We have, what's it called? I think it's called Yaya's. It's in Williamson. It's right up the road here. That really, during the summertime, is just absolutely packed. And it's really good. So yeah, pizza and movie night. We're gonna rent. My youngest son and I have already seen it, but my oldest son hasn't seen it yet. And it was a really good movie called The Gentleman. It's a Guy Ritchie movie. I don't know if anybody. I don't know if they're still married, but he was married to Madonna at one point. Guy Ritchie, but he's directed a couple of different movies that I've enjoyed, and this was a lot like that too. It's just for pure entertainment. I think it's all about a drug dealer, and I don't know. It's just entertaining. It's got Hugh Grant, I think his name is, and a few other famous actors in it. But it's like edgy and gritty, and it's pretty good. So we're gonna rent that tonight, and then pizza, of course. I don't know. We go between Mark's and Salvatore, so I don't know where we're getting it from. But what movies you guys see lately? Anyone see any good ones? I've seen some good ones, but anybody got any good dad jokes? You know how much I love dad jokes. Best ice cream at Yaya's. Yes, absolutely. Karina, good morning. Hi. Absolutely missed you. Where have you been? I know. It's Friday. I wanted to sleep in too. You probably weren't sleeping in. You have kids. Anyone with kids doesn't sleep in. Trust me. I know. Although my kids now, my youngest I think gets up somewhere around noon. So best ice cream. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. It's really good. The guy's name in here after, yeah, Mary Jo. Oh, the Johann Hari one or the Viktor Frankl one? I'm reading a lot of them. I was going to make a post, but then I realized how ridiculous that is. Make a post about not being on Facebook anymore, and I make a post on Facebook, but the only book that's getting my face are books now. Anyway, I'm reading a lot of books right now. Viktor Frankl and Johann Hari. I'll put them both in the comments afterwards. Absolutely. The Outsider on HBO. Just Mercy was awesome. Yeah, I agree. That was great. I watched that twice because when you rent it on Amazon, you have it for like 48 hours. So I watched it 2 nights in a row, and it was really just such a powerful movie. Watch some shows now. The Outsider. Cool. I have to check that one out too. I'm watching of shows. I've started watching shows like as I go to sleep because I always fall asleep. I've been up since 5. Yeah, that's what time I get up too, Karina. Yes, I can totally relate to that. I think again, anyone with kids can probably relate to being up that early. My body clock just says it's time to get up. So I started watching Tales from the Loop, I think it's called. It can be, for someone who falls asleep watching stuff, like that's what I do to fall asleep, is to put things on. It's an interesting show, but it's definitely something you need to be awake for, because it can move kind of slow sometimes. but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's thought-provoking, which is cool. But anyway, Tales from the Loop, I think it's called. But some of my favorite series of shows are like Peaky Blinders on Netflix, Umbrella Academy, of course Ozark, but I've been done with that since since season 3 came out, which I'm still kicking myself about. I totally got peer pressured into binge watching the rest of season 3. I was trying to phase it out every Sunday, watching another episode, and the rest of my coworkers had all binge watched season 3, and everyone wanted to talk about it. I'm like, no, I'm trying to be good about it. I thought I was bad. Turns out I'm not. Because I watched like 3 nights in a row. I watched the first 3 shows, and then I was like, okay, I got to slow down, because I know I'm gonna hate it when I'm done, because now I'm gonna be waiting for season 4 forever. So I ended up watching the rest of the season 3. So Ozark. What else do I watch? Amazon had a new series called The Boys that only has 1 season. Great comedy movie, Long Shot. Huh. Who's in that? You'll laugh the whole time. Cool. Comedies are good right now. I like watching comedies. Ozark's the best, Meredith. I got my oldest son, I got him hooked on that now too. But again, so we've got only 3 seasons. What are some other ones? Oh, I wish Matt was on. Matt McGee, our operations manager, has all the good series. He's the one that told me about Umbrella Academy, which was really kind of slow and hard to get into at the beginning, and then once you got into it, it was like, wow, it was really amazing. Long Shot. Okay, cool. I'm gonna check that one out. Thanks, Karina. I like them. Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. Anyway, yeah. Pizza movie night tonight, so I'll have 4 hours or so solid work to do, a couple of Zoom check-ins, staff check-ins we do on Fridays, and then we'll work out legs today. My son wants to do legs today, so we're gonna do that, and then probably do a little reading, and then pizza and movie night, and that is our Friday. And then the rest of the weekend is gonna be no work, no social media, a lot of reading. Hopefully the weather will start getting nicer so I can go outside and spend some time outside, more time outside. Not to go out and run or anything, but we've got the bikes, we're ready to go for bike rides, I wanna sit out in my yard and read, and that to me would make this so much easier to deal with. So I'll continue to pray for those things, and we'll see if it happens. So anyway, Hulu, Little Fires Everywhere, watch it. Okay, cool. Is Hulu, that's subscription based, right? I think my son's got Hulu. I think between us, we've got everything. Oh, Mary Jo, that's awesome. Good for you. I am not moving in that direction. I am not losing weight. I would think, with all this running I've been doing lately. But anyway, I'm sure that I am. I just don't feel like I am. It's a series on Hulu. Cool. Awesome. Good tip. So lots of cool things to watch, lots of cool things to read, lots of ways to keep ourselves busy. And I hope everyone's doing well. So if you're not, as always, you guys can always call us on our Facebook page. And again, I'll post it in the comments the way I do every time afterwards, is all of the additional connections that we have for you, or that that are out in the community. We've got Zoom mutual aid meetings. We've got you can call us, and we've got, I don't even know, 5 different peers, 6 different peers, and then volunteers on top of that. So we can't get overloaded. If folks need any additional connection resources for recovery, or just people to talk to, our OES line, our peer recovery support line, is always up and running, and we'll do our best to help you out with anything that you're in need of right now. So reach out. if you're struggling, if you need any kind of help whatsoever, send us emails, but look for that in the comments. Afterwards, I'll post that along with the book references, some meditations, our running schedule for next week. So we're going to start a new schedule next week. We'll go the half marathon intermediate training. Yeah, so that's it. And I'll reply to everyone's comments once I have my glasses on and I can see them all. I can't see them all necessarily right now, so if I didn't acknowledge you or say hi, I will try and do so in the comments. And as always, thanks for joining me, guys. This is one of the best parts of my day, so thanks for sharing, thanks for watching, and thanks for joining me. Hope you guys have a great day. I love you all. I will see you soon.